OVAs. You see them all over the place, but not too many people even know what they are exactly. Like, why are they even made? And what is so important about them? Hello everyone, this is the RPG Monger, and contrary to what a lot of people believe, not all anime come out of the televised format. With not too many people even talking about them in the first place, I felt it was about time that I went ahead and did, especially with OVAs being a hot conversation as of late. So, before we get into the intricacies of it all, what even is an OVA? Well, it's actually quite simple. OVA stands for Original Video Animation. In other words, OVA are anime that go directly to DVD or VHS. Though now with the most basic explanation out of the way, let's talk about the history of OVAs. Originating in the early 1980s, with VCRs becoming incredibly popular within Japanese households, the anime industry absolutely exploded. As the demand for anime grew, people began going to stores to buy them directly. Unlike how usually, the stigma surrounding direct-to-video works are usually that of something that wasn't good enough for television. In Japan, it actually ended up being more of the opposite, since as the demand for new anime became so great, OVAs became somewhat of a necessity. This in turn led to the mid to late 80s being absolutely flooded by OVAs. OVAs that for the most part were all new unique titles. But then, after Japan's economic bubble, the 90s saw a drastic decrease in new OVAs. They were still being made, but on a way smaller scale compared to before. Not to mention, since OVAs typically have more money put into them, anime began to become more designed for television releases, with 13 episodes being a basic goal. And meanwhile this is all happening, with the rise of cable and satellite networks came less strict censorship rules. This in turn lets the more violent and risque series become TV series instead of becoming OVAs like they would. With this kind of climate, the only OVAs that really existed and thrived in this time period would usually be those related to established and existing titles. Though then, once Japan entered a new millennia, a new OVA trend began to take form. TV anime would still be made as much as usual, but there would also be extra episodes released only as OVAs. For example, the final episode of Excel Saga was only offered as an OVA. Usually, this will happen because the actual content of the episode isn't exactly suited for TV broadcasting. But now, this trend has gone beyond that. Now, many recent OVAs will pre-broadcast the episodes and then release the DVD with higher quality. Needless to say, the boundary between TV anime and OVAs really has blurred now. So after that history lesson, how about we talk about some of the OVAs in particular that really show the potential possible in video anime. Restrictions. They're a thing that can keep good anime from being great anime. Though, as I said before, when looking at an OVA, all these things become null and void. First, let's take a look at Fooly Cooly, an OVA that I'm sure you expected me to be talking about. To have an anime be successful in a televised format, usually you can't try something too unique, as more often than not, it will be overshadowed by most of the larger, well-known shows that abide by the largely accepted formats. Though, to be fair, there are exceptions to that statement, so it may not be very valid anymore. But back on Fooly Cooly, this OVA really exemplifies how important the format really is in a number of ways. But how is that, you may ask? Well, instead of taking it from me, how about I quote the director of the anime himself? When making Fooly Cooly, Kazuya Tsurumaki has actually said he was trying to basically break the rules of anime. And in the year 2000, when the OVA was released, Fooly Cooly really did take approaches and implement things that were really not so present at the time. Like the fact that a contemporary Japanese band provided the soundtrack. Not to mention, the OVA is structured unlike a lot of anime, or as the director said, like a Japanese TV commercial or promotional video, a work that is short but densely packed. Funnily enough, these traits are honestly what make Fooly Cooly one of my favorite anime to ever exist, and at this point, just try to imagine the OVA without the fantastic tunes from the pillows. You can't, right? Okay, but enough Fooly Coolying around. Next, I have my second and final example, Helsing Ultimate. Now, Helsing Ultimate is a bit of an interesting case for multiple reasons. Let me give you a rundown. Helsing Ultimate is in fact not the first Helsing anime. Instead, in 2001, out came the original Helsing anime. This anime faced a variety of issues though. 1. The manga was nowhere near over, and 2. The animation just does not do the epic series justice. Once it ended, it seemed like all hope was lost for a faithful quality adaptation of Helsing. But wait, what is that sparkle at the end of the tunnel? Could it be? And indeed, it was. 5 years later in 2006, we got Helsing Ultimate. There are many things about Helsing Ultimate that cannot be found in a lot of OVAs. One major trait being the fact that it doesn't even have an original script, and is basically adapting the manga just like any other television anime. Unlike any other television anime, however, Helsing Ultimate used all of the advantages that come from being an OVA. With 6 50 or so minute episodes, absolutely stellar animation, and an adaptation that is truly faithful to the manga, Helsing Ultimate really was the definitive version. And to be completely honest with you all, I really wish more anime got this treatment. Like, imagine if we got Berserk Ultimate or some crap like that, where everything got adapted as it should be, and less restricted due to the OVA platform. That's the kind of stuff I would actually kill to see. I could go on praising OVAs for a lot longer, believe me. And a quick side note here, I would talk about the Legend of the Galactic Heroes, but I just have not seen enough of it to give any sort of a definitive opinion. Though who knows, maybe it'll get its own video at a later date. But anyways, now I want to give my final thoughts on OVAs. When talking about the history of anime as a whole, OVAs are quite the important landmark and have shaped the industry in numerous ways. While the modern OVAs that come out are more just promotions of manga and extensions of anime, I feel we should never forget the impact that OVAs have had on the entire anime climate. Ha, I bet you expected me to go on to my outro, right? Well, my friend, you were clearly mistaken, as now it is time for ONAs. ONAs are probably even more simple compared to OVAs. They're just anime that are uploaded directly to the internet, not to TV or to DVD. You'd be honestly surprised at the amount of popular anime that have come from this format as well. Like The King's Avatar, Time of Eve, and most importantly, Inferno Cop. But anyways, on to my real final thoughts. Whether the anime you're watching came from a television broadcast, an OVA, or even an ONA, as I said before, never forget the importance they share to the anime industry as a whole. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, do subscribe, and today's cool thing of the day is the OVA for Thus Spoke Rohan Kishibe. Coming from someone who actually hasn't read the short manga it's going to be adapting, this OVA is something I am really excited for. Not to mention, with the OVA format, David Productions will be able to have more freedom and go all out with their animation. Just from watching the previews that are out right now, I cannot wait. So that being said, I am the RPG Monger, and don't forget that each and every one of you are fantastic. Ride on, shooting star. Please get this song out of my head.